their son in Dublin, and the grandpa opens up the medicine chest and he sees Viagra. So he says to his son, geez, I'd like to try that. And the son says, no. He says, very expensive and it's very strong. He said, and they're $10 a piece. He said, don't worry, I'll leave the money under the pillow tomorrow when I leave. So the next day they leave, the son goes and he looks under the pillow and he sees $110. Wow, he calls up his son, his father, and he says, Dad, I told you the pill was only $10. He said, right, $10 was for me and $100 was from your grandmother. This woman goes to their doctor in Dublin and they're discussing various problems. And he finally says to her, do you look at your husband when you're having sex? She said, no, I'm sorry. Does your husband look at you when you're having sex? And she said, no, he gets very angry. She said, what do you mean he gets very angry? He was looking through the window. This wedding was outside of Cork, and they invited the entire neighborhood. They're all having a good time, and finally the DJ says, I want you to stand next to the person who makes you living worthwhile. All of a sudden everybody jumped up and mobbed the bartender. In Belfast, these two women walked into a tanning salon, and the receptionist says, are you sisters? And she turned to him and she said, no, we're not even Catholic. This husband goes to the pub every night, and his wife is complaining that every night he goes out and he goes to the pub. She said, tonight I'm going with you. So she goes with him, and he said, what would you like to drink there? He said, well, whatever you're drinking, I'll drink. So he orders 2 shots of Jack Daniels, and he takes it and gulps it down, and she looks at it and takes a sip, and she spits it out and said, this is terrible. How could you possibly do that? He said, do you think I'm having a good time every night? These two guys are talking, and he says, I hear you're getting divorced, John. He said, yes. He said, last week was my birthday. My wife never said happy birthday. My parents never said happy. My kids never said happy birthday. I went to work, and none of my colleagues even said happy birthday to me. Finally, I'm walking into my office, and my secretary said, happy birthday, boss. She said, I'd like to take you out to lunch. So she takes him out to lunch. After lunch, she says, why don't you come over to my apartment? So he goes over to her apartment, and he sits down on a couch, and she said, I'll be in the bedroom for a couple minutes. And all of a sudden, 5 minutes later, his wife comes out, his son comes out, his parents come out, all his colleagues from the office come out, and he's sitting on a couch, naked. This teacher is talking to her class, and one of the kids got his head bowed, and she said, Jay, what's the problem? He said, well, I'm a little sad. He said, because my mother's in the hospital and my father's at the police station. Oh, she said, oh, go home, you'll feel better. So a few minutes later, she's talking to the class, and one of the kids waves his hand, and he says, his father's a policeman and his mother's a nurse. Okay, they're not all perfect. So. This just happened here at Ann's Choice recently. Somebody broke into our apartment and stole a dozen eggs. But they left a saucepan full of warm water. I think it must have been a poacher. Okay, well, as you get older, you sit around and you ponder some things. So here's some crazy thoughts that went through my mind. I was figuring out if the number 2 pencil is so popular, why isn't it number 1? And did you ever think about it? When your battery runs low in your remote control, you keep pressing harder. And I wonder what was the best thing before sliced bread. Okay? Okay? It's all right, I work alone. You can answer. Okay, guys. Well, got my last piece here.
Nobody ever changed the clock.
Some people, I think I'm going crazy, but the joke's on you. I went there 3 years ago. I fell in love with the place, and I decided to stay there. Thanks, you've been a great audience.